Jaya Jaya Sri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to today's session of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita reading. We are in Adi Leela, chapter 13, the advent of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We have to begin with text 121. So we'll quickly go over what we read yesterday. So yesterday, we've been reading about how Sachi Mata came with so many gifts for baby Nimai, and then how she gave gifts to Sachimata and the baby after the mother and child take their bath, right? So they stay in seclusion. So we saw how earlier for 4 months the mother would stay in seclusion before actually coming out and seeing sunrise. And then later on that was reduced to 21 days, right, for Brahmanas. So like that. So in this way, Sachimata was given gifts by Sita Thakurani, Sachimata and the baby. And after that, when Sachimata, she took her bath, then Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra honored Sita Thakurani by giving her many gifts. And then blessing the baby, Sita Thakurani returned to Shantipur. She went back. So we read in text 19, in this way Mother Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, having obtained a son who was the husband of the goddess of fortune. So after Sita Thakurani left, so they were so happy. All their desires were fulfilled because the husband of the supreme, the husband of the goddess of fortune is in their house as their son. So all their desires were fulfilled. Their house was filled with riches. And also we saw how Jagannath Mishra, being a Brahmana, he was completely satisfied. So even though he received so many gifts, he was not interested in that. He would give them all back in charity. He was completely self-controlled. He restrained sense gratification. So he had no desire to enjoy material opulence. Whatever money came before, because of the influence of his son, he gave it all in charity for the satisfaction of the Lord. So now we'll read text 121. Lagnagani Harshamati, Lagnagani Harshamati Nilambara Chakravarti. How does it go? Lagnagani Harshamati Nilambara Chakravarti Gupte Kichu Kohila Mishre Re Mahapurushe Rachinna Lagne Ange Bhinna Bhinna Dekhi ei taribe samsare. So is Achyut Priya Mataji here? No. Yeah, Achyut Priya Mataji is here. Yes, Mataji, go ahead. Are you able
Hare
to?
Krishna Mataji. Just Dandavad Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai Guru. After calculating the birth moment of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nilambara Chakravarti privately said to Jagannath Mishra that he saw all the different symptoms of a great personality in both the body and birth moment of the child. Thus he understood that in the future that this child would deliver all the three worlds. Thank you, Mataji. Krishna.
Nilambar Chakravarti is the father of Sachimata, and Nilambar Chakravarti was a great scholar. So he did the astrological calculation after the birth of baby Nimai. Also, we read that Sita Thakurani is the one who named Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Nimai. That also we read yesterday. Yes, Nimai after the neem tree, because it will ward off all evil spirits, right? And also she blessed with durva grass and paddy, right? Dan Durba, Mataji said, like that she blessed. So Nilambar Chakravarti, he's a great scholar. He did the astrological calculation, horoscope of the baby. And then he called the father, Jagannath Mishra, and privately he told him that the moment of appearance of this child is very auspicious. That means that itself is indicating that this child is a Mahapurusha, but also the symptoms on his body, the symbols on his body, they also tell that this child is not an ordinary child. He's a great personality. He's a Mahapurusha. So he understood that in the future, this child is going to deliver all the three worlds. This Nilambar Chakravarti told Jagannath Mishra. आइछे प्रभु सची घरे कृपाया कोइला अवतारे जय इहा करे श्रवणा गौर प्रभु दयामय तारे होए ना सदया सेई पाया ताहारा चरण अचिंत्य देव प्रभु
Hare Krishna Mataji. No, I can read.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the assembled devotees.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhuji. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his causeless mercy, made his advent in the house of Sachi Devi. Lord Chaitanya is very merciful in anyone who hears his narration of his birth, and thus such a person attains the lotus feet of the Lord. Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank you. Hare Krishna. In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of his causeless mercy, made his advent in the house of Sachi Devi. Lord Chaitanya is very merciful to anyone who hears this narration of his birth, and thus such a person attains the lotus feet of the Lord. So far, whatever we have heard about the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and how the different devotees rejoiced and celebrated in Shantipur, Haridas Thakur and Advaita Acharya, in Mayapur, in Navadvip, Srivas Thakur and Chandrasekhar Acharya, all the wives, they came, and then the demigods and Lakshmi Devi, Saraswati Devi, they all came, right? And how even after the birth, the demigods would come to offer prayers, and the happiness experienced by Jagannath Mishra, Sachimata, how Sita Thakurani came. So Achit Priya Mataji is asking who is Sita Thakurani. She is the consort of Advaita Acharya. So Advaita Acharya is in Shantipur, so his consort came, Sita Thakurani came. So this whole pastime, any person who has heard this narration, there's a blessing. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, anyone who has heard this narration of the birth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and even Nilambar Chakravarti is seeing the horoscope and telling that this child, he's going to deliver the three worlds in future. So anyone who hears this whole pastime, such a person attains the lotus feet of the Lord. Next. पाया मानुष जन्म जेना शुने गौर गुण हेनो जन्म तार व्यर्थ होइलो पाया अमृत धुनि पिए विषा गर्त पानी garta means nala, nala is like drainage. पाया अमृत धुनि पिए विषा गर्त पानी जन्मिया से केने नाही महिला. translation. Aditi Lata Mataji or Arunita?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances, Mataji. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Anyone who attains a human body but does not take to the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is baffled in his opportunity. Amrita Dhuni is a flowing river of the nectar of devotional service. If after getting a human body one drinks the water in a poison pit of material happiness instead of the water of such a river, it would be better for him not to have lived, but to have died long ago.
Yes. So here material happiness is compared to the sewage water, which is in the pit. It's the water in the poison pit, right? Garta means, yeah, obnoxious.
Garta is a pothole.
Yeah. Pothole, not just rainwater. It's like all nasty things. Garta. So if after getting a human body, so material happiness is compared to Garta. Okay. And hearing about the pastimes of the Lord, the qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is compared to a flowing river, not of water, flowing river of nectar, like we read in the 5th canto. What is that? Jambu fruit, right? It forms a river. The pulp, mango pulp is flowing like a river, something like that. A river of nectar. What is that nectar? It is the nectar of devotional service. So, anyone who attains a human body but does not take to the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What is the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Whatever Mahaprabhu taught us, chant Hare Krishna. So, anyone who does not take to the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even after taking the human form of body, it's like he is drinking the water from the poison pit. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult of devotional service is like a flowing river of nectar. After getting a human body, if one drinks the water in a poison pit of material happiness instead of the water of such a river, then what is the use of even drinking that water? It's better to die than living such a life. It would be better for him not to have lived at all. What is the meaning of such a life? Very heavy statement, right? So, anyone who attains a human body but does not take to the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is baffled in his opportunity. He's baffled in his opportunity. We read this in Bhagavad Gita also. I forget, there's one shloka we read. He won't get any, so this will come in the middle 6 chapters, one shloka. He won't get any success in his material endeavors. He won't get any success in his attempts for liberation. Nothing. If there is no bhakti, he won't get success anywhere. Even in fruitive activity, he won't get success. If there's no bhakti, he won't get any success. So that's what is being said here also. He's baffled in his opportunity. Any opportunity, material, spiritual, zero. Yeah. One who does not take to the cult of Chaitanya. What is cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Bhakti. Anyone who does not take to bhakti, he loses all his opportunity. Amrita Dhuni is a flowing river of the nectar of devotional service. If after getting a human body one drinks the water in a poison pit of material happiness instead of the water of such a river, it would be better for him not to have lived but to have died long ago. Purport. Arunita?
Mataji, it reminds me of that, remember that blessing, that Gio, Gio, I remember?
No, but Priyanka Mataji is quoting Moghasha Mogha Karmano, Mogha Jnana Vichetasa. Yes, yes, correct. Thank you, Mataji. Moghasha, right? Like you're baffled, your Asha, right? Is baffled. Moghasha, Mogha Karmano. In your karma, in your aspiration for liberation, everything is baffled. Yes, Aditi Lata Mataji. So you are saying?
Where did Mataji gave this shloka from?
9th, na, Mataji? Chapter 9, text, I think 5 or something.
12, 9.12, Mataji.
9:12. Okay.
Okay. No, I was saying there was this story, Mataji, that sannyasi was blessing three different.
Chaitanya Bhagavat, it comes, yes. So when Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu are going to Shantipur, why they are going to Shantipur? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just decided we'll go to Shantipur. But actually at that time, Advaita Acharya was speaking this, Mayavad philosophy, preaching Yoga Vashishta. So Mahaprabhu went, and he had a desire that Mahaprabhu should come and chastise me. That's why he was preaching. So on the way, Nityananda Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the way to Shantipur, so they stopped by at this sannyasi's home. So he's a sannyasi, but he has a wife and he drinks wine and everything. What is the meaning of that sannyas? So there, that sannyasi is very much enchanted by the beauty of both the lords, and then he wants to serve them. So he offers them. First of all, he blesses them. May you have lot of material opulence and this and that. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "What kind of blessing is this from a sannyasi? This type of blessing, it doesn't look good." So he becomes upset. The sannyasi becomes upset. So then, so what was the point, Mataji? What is the point? How are you linking it with this situation?
Not this one, Mataji. I was saying the other one. What if Priyanka Mataji remembers? That the butcher, the blessing for the butcher is you are.
Acha, that one. Yeah.
This one is different, and then the
Sadhava Jivova Marova, that one. Prabhupada quotes that. Yeah. So there's a different blessing for the brahmachari, different for the prince. For the prince, he says you live forever because after death you're going to suffer. For a brahmachari, he says you die right away because if you're living, you have to live with so much tapasya, austerity. If you die, anyway, you're going to higher, realms. So it's good that you die right away. You get liberation like that. And for a butcher, he says, you don't live, don't die, because whether you live or you die, it's hell for you. In this life, also killing all the time, that's hellish. And after you die, anyway, you're going to go to hell. So for you, either you don't live, don't die. And for a devotee, he says, whether you live or you die, it does not matter. Because in both cases, you're always with the Lord, like that. So again, what is the connection, Mataji, here?
Not exactly, but because it is they're saying here that having a human body and drinking water from the this garta
Hmm.
a waste of time rather than
Yeah.
drinking that amrita.
Right. So be like a devotee, don't be like that butcher or even like that prince. Don't waste your time in material happiness, material goals. Those material goals are like garta, drinking, dirty water. What's the use of that? Instead of that, it's as good as death. You do better being dead than living that type of life. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So let's continue because we also want to keep to the time. So Arunita is going to read
Yes, Mataji.
purport. Hare Krishna.
In this connection, Srimad
Prabodhananda
Saraswati has composed the following verses in his Chaitanya Charitamrita,
Chandramrita.
37, 36, 34.
Chaitanya
Chaitanyam idam vishwam yati chaitanyamishwaram na vidhi sarva
Shastagya
shastragya yapi
Brahmayanti
brahmayanti tejanaha Vijnana
Jana, right? Jana, right? Mataji?
Te janaha. Yeah.
Tejanaha. This material world is without Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna consciousness personified. Therefore, if a very learned scholar or scientist does not understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is wandering uselessly in this world.
So we are hearing quotes from other places of the scripture. The same statement which Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has said, that if we have not taken shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's process of Krishna consciousness, and if we are simply absorbed in material sense gratification, then what is the value of such a life? This is also said in Chaitanya Chandramrita by Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati, that this material world has no Krishna consciousness. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna consciousness personified. So, being in this material world, what is the highest gift somebody can get? What is the best thing that anyone can get? The most valuable thing, that is Krishna consciousness. And that Krishna consciousness in a personified form is there in front of you in this material world. So, even after receiving this, if we don't accept it, therefore, if a very learned scholar or scientist does not understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then what is the value of his life? What is the value of his learning? He is useless, like that. Okay. So next, Prabhuji, Chatterjee Prabhuji, you can read.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
I start from Prasarita.
Yeah.
Prasarito Mahapreme Piyusha Rasa Sagare Chaitanya Chandre Prakate O Dina Eva Shah. A person who does not take advantage of the nectar of devotional service overflowing during the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult is certainly the poorest of the poor.
Yes. Where is this? Yeah, go ahead.
Avatirine Gauro Chandre, Vistridne Pema Sagore, Shuprakashito Ratno Ge, O Dino Eva Shah. The advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is just like an expanding ocean of nectar. One who does not collect the valuable jewels within this ocean, is certainly the poorest of the poor.
These three verses are taken from Prabodhananda Saraswati's Caitanya Chandramrita. Okay, verses 37, 36, 34 of Caitanya Chandramrita. First verse is saying, material world is without Krishna consciousness. Mahaprabhu is Krishna consciousness personified. So if you're a learned scholar, if you don't understand Mahaprabhu, what is the value of living? The other verse is saying, a person who does not take advantage of the nectar of devotional service overflowing during the presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult. Remember, it's not just saying the physical presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but it is during the presence of Mahaprabhu's cult, meaning during the presence of this Hare Krishna movement, the 10,000 years, the golden movement. Yes. So anyone who's not able to take advantage of the nectar of devotional service during the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's cult is actually the poorest of the poor. Then another verse, the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like an expanding ocean of nectar. One who does not collect the valuable jewels within this ocean is the poorest of poor. So in three different ways, the same point is being said, that anyone who doesn't take advantage of Mahaprabhu's movement is actually a very poor person. There's no value of his living. So Isha, you can read next one.
Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.19 2023 states Svavidvaraho Samstata Purusha Pashu Nayat Karna Pato Peto Jato Nama Gada Graja Bile Batorukrama.
Now this one is a long one. Bile Batorukrama Vikramanye
Nashanvata Karnapate Narasya Jivasati Dardurike Vasuta Nachopagaya Tirugaya Gataha Jivan Chavo Bhagavatanrirenam Najatu Martyo Bhilapetayastu Sri Vishnupadya Manujastulasya Vasan Chavoyastu Naveda Gandham.
Yeah.
A person who has no connection with Krishna consciousness may be a very great personality in so-called human society, but actually he is no better than a great animal. Such big animals are generally praised by other animals, like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. A person who does not lend his oral reception to hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead must be considered to have ear holes like holes in a field. Although that person has a tongue, it is like the tongue of a frog, which unnecessarily creates a disturbance by croaking, inviting the snake of death. Similarly, a person who neither takes advantage of the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, nor smells the tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, must be considered dead, even though he is supposedly working.
Yes. Just like in Chaitanya Chandramrita, we saw the same point is said in Srimad Bhagavatam in 3 verses, Canto 2, chapter 3. What are they saying? That what is the value of the life of such a person who does not take advantage of devotional service, who does not take to Krishna consciousness? What is the value of such a person's life? He may be a great person in the estimation of this so-called human society, but what is his value? Who praises him? Who considers him to be great? He is a big animal and other animals consider him to be great animal. That's all. What is the value of his ears that don't hear the glories of the Lord? What is the value of his tongue that doesn't sing the glories of the Lord? It's like whatever he's speaking, it's like the croaking of a frog which is inviting the snake to come and kill it. So like that, every time I am speaking, I'm only moving further. That means I'm passing my time in talking nonsense. And as the time passes, I'm only coming closer and closer to death, which will bring me to another life of suffering, another material body. If I'm not taking to devotional service, if I'm not glorifying Krishna, whatever I'm speaking, that time that I spend in speaking is only bringing me closer to death, which is like a snake which is going to devour me. What is the value of such a tongue? What is the value of such speech? What is the value of the ears which don't hear the glories of the Lord? It's like the holes in a field, right? What happens? Again, snakes stay there, rats stay there in those holes. What's the value of those holes? And one who does not take advantage of the dust of the lotus feet of great devotees, whose nose does not smell the tulsi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, then even though they are living, they are as good as dead. Srimad Bhagavatam, next verse, Krishna Shishya is not here. Madhava. Similarly, 10:1:4 Nivrittatarshayarupagiyamanan Shrotra Uttam Gunanuvadat Puman Virajeta. Who but the Dharmakara or the of the soul will not care to hear glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Such glorification is desired by persons liberated from contamination of his material world. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 3.23.56 says, Not Tirtha Pada Sevaya Jivan Api Mrito Hisa. Although a person is apparently living, if he does not serve the lotus feet of great devotees, he is to be considered a dead body. Yes, again and again we hear, what is the value of that life in which one does not serve the Supreme Lord? It's better to be dead. Same point, again and again it's coming in Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Chandramrita. And who does not take to Krishna consciousness? Only an animal killer. Animal killer is not just on a gross level, a meat eater, you can say an animal killer, but also one who's killing the soul. Externally, I may be a vegetarian, but I'm not interested in Krishna consciousness. I am also called an animal killer if I'm not interested in Krishna consciousness, because I'm killing the soul. Like that. Next. So, Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Acharya Advaita Chandra Swarupa Rupa Raghunatha Dasa Iha Sabara Sri Charana Shire Vandi Nijadhana Janmalila Gaila Krishna Dasa. Okay, Rasapriya. You read already? You are not ready. Okay. So we'll come back to Rasapriya and Krishna Shish later. Next is Nilambari Mataji, right? I'm just going in alphabetical order. Are you able to read,
Yes,
Mataji?
Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna pranams.
Pranam, Mataji. Jai
All
Shri.
praise to Srila Prabhupada. Translation. I'll read the translation, right?
Yes.
Taking on my head as my own property the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Acharya Advaita Chandra, Sharup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami, I Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, have thus described the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Thank you, Mataji. So we are coming to the conclusion. So Chaitanya Krishnadas, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, thus I have described the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, taking on my head as my own property the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, right? And Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami. Purport. Wait. Mataji can read the first paragraph. Priyanka Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, Advaita Prabhu, Swarup Damodar, Rup Goswami, Raghunath Das, and their followers are all accepted by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Anyone who follows in the footsteps of Kaviraj Goswami also accepts the lotus feet of the above mentioned lords as his personal property. For a materialistic person, material wealth and opulence are only illusory. Actually, they are not possessions but entanglements, because by enjoying the material world, a conditioned soul becomes more and more entangled by incurring debts for his present enjoyment. Unfortunately, a conditioned soul considers property for which he is in debt to be his own, and he is very busy acquiring such property. But a devotee considers such property not real property, but simply an entanglement in the material world. If Lord Krishna is very pleased with the devotee, he takes away his material property, as he states in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:88:8. Yasyaham anugrihnami harishya tad dhanam shanai. To show special favor to a devotee, I take away all his material property. Similarly, Narottam Das Thakur says, should I say it, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji, you read the Bengali and then.
Okay. I may not know the tone.
Okay,
Okay.
then it's okay.
Dhanam. Okay, yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Mataji. No, thank you. You read, Mataji.
Okay. So actually right now there is a live class of my Guru Maharaj going on in New Vrindavan. So it is available on Facebook. So that's why I got a message from Malti Mataji to join right away. But we are finishing this. Let's just read this and I can end. Okay. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda, Advaita Prabhu, Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das and their followers are all accepted by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Anyone who follows in the footsteps of Kaviraj Goswami also accepts the lotus feet of above mentioned. That's the advantage. That is the system of parampara. We hold on to our Guru Maharaj, then all the predecessor acharyas, we are automatically taking shelter of them. So if we hold on to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, all the acharyas and the Lord that he is taking shelter of, automatically we'll be taking shelter of them. So for a materialistic person, material wealth and opulence are only illusory. Actually, they are not possessions but entanglements. Because by enjoying material world, a conditioned soul becomes more and more entangled by incurring debts for his present enjoyment. Unfortunately, a conditioned soul considers property for which he is in debt to be his own, and is very busy acquiring such property. But a devotee considers such property not real property, but simply an entanglement in the material world. Yeah, he doesn't see it as some asset to enjoy, right? He may be a caretaker as seeing this as Krishna's property, but not that I own this and I want to enjoy this. If Lord Krishna is very pleased with the devotee, he takes away his material property, as he states in Srimad Bhagavatam, Yasyaham anugrihnami harishya tad dhanam shanai. To show special favor to a devotee, I take away all his material property. Similarly, Narottam Das Thakur says, Dhanamora Nityananda, Radha Krishna, Sri Charana, Sei Mora Pranadhana. What is my wealth? My wealth is Nityananda Prabhu, not the dollars and rupees that I have. That's not my wealth. Okay? Rasapriya, you're going to read? Just read that.
My real riches are Nityananda Prabhu in the lotus feet of Sri Radha and Krishna. He further prays, O Lord, kindly give me this opulence. I do not want anything but your lotus feet as my property. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung in many places that his real property is the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Unfortunately, we are interested in unreal property and are neglecting our real property. Adhana yatana.
Adhane jatana kori dhana teyaginu. Okay, thank you. So my real riches are Nityananda Prabhu and the lotus feet of Radha, Sri Radha Krishna. He further prays, Narottam Das Thakur is praying, O Lord, kindly give me this opulence. I do not want anything but your lotus feet as my property. Srila Narottam Das Thakur has sung in many places that his real property is the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Unfortunately, we are interested in unreal property and are neglecting our real property, which is the lotus feet of the Lord. Adhane yatana kori dhana teyaginu. Sometimes Marthas consider Raghunath Das Goswami a Shudra, but Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami here especially mentions Swarupa Rupa Raghunatha Dasa. Therefore, one who considers the lotus feet of Raghunath Das to be transcendental to all divisions of the caste system enjoys the riches of actual spiritual bliss. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila 13th chapter describing the advent of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So thank you all devotees. We have completed this chapter. Tomorrow we'll begin chapter 14. Hare Krishna, everyone. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Mataji,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Can you
Hare
please
Krishna Mataji, Hare
send
Krishna.
us the link?
Mataji didn't give a link. This is actually a Facebook. So she just sent a name and I'm not able to connect also. She said, quick, just join through she gave a name of one person. So join that person's Facebook. But I don't know if I have to make her a friend or what. I'm not familiar with the Facebook. It's not there on
Yeah,
YouTube.
me too.
I'll try. If